Hi, I'm Courtney Cole, and my son Gunnar and I are here for the conclusion of our three-part series about addiction and the effect it's had on us, on Gunnar and on me and our family, and his recovery. So we are going to continue answering readers' questions and trying to answer as honestly and as real as we can.
Courtney, you've been open about the fact that you've developed a panic and anxiety problem. How did you cope with that? And are you willing to use medications in order to treat it, knowing what drugs did to your son?
That's really a good question. I did develop a panic at the height of Gunnar's addiction. I've always been a really calm person, and I thought I was, but maybe I always had this inclination, I just didn't know it. But when Gunnar was at his worst, I did start getting panic attacks, and I have like generalized anxiety disorder. And what I try to do is I try to do everything I can. Like, I do controlled breathing, I use essential oils, I try to calm myself in natural ways, but sometimes there is a point where it goes into a full-blown panic attack, and I will take a prescription medication, and I'm okay with it because I know that I'm not going to abuse it. Like, I don't use it for recreation, I don't use it to get high, I use it to control the panic, and it's few and far between. It's not like, you know, an everyday thing. And I know I'm ultra sensitive about it now too. Medications, I definitely watch for, you know, myself. Like, if I would start using something, Xanax or something more than I should, I would definitely catch it, because I don't ever want to go down that path. I would never want anybody in my family to go down that path. But I'm a big believer in, if you are prescribed a medication by your doctor for something, if you take it as prescribed, I think that it's healthy, it's fine, it's meant to help your disorder.
Gunnar, what has been the biggest struggle since recovery besides staying clean?
I think showing people my feelings, like letting them know that I love them, or that I feel sympathy for them, or what they're doing makes me sad or something. Like, emotions are a big struggle for me right now.
Can you elaborate on that? Why are emotions a struggle?
Well, I mean, I was doing so many drugs to numb my emotions. Like, now I'm clean, you can't just expect them to be just fine, you know?
So now you're learning to deal with emotions without the crutch of drugs.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yep.
What would you tell your younger self if you got the chance?
That's a good question.
12-year-old
Gunnar. If you could go back today and see 12-year-old Gunnar, what would you say to him?
You're gonna regret it.
So don't do it?
You're gonna regret it, because I know I do it.
You'd do it anyways?
Yep. You're gonna regret it. Maybe like telling myself that would be like, regret what? You know, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really matter because it's already done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What has been your biggest inspiration to stay in recovery?
Family. And my own life. I don't want to die. I almost died. I mean, my mom had to call the ambulance on me and stuff because I was overdosing. It's pretty bad. And if she wouldn't have called the ambulance, I would have been dead right now. So.
Courtney, as a mother, how do you deal with the knowledge that you can't save your son, that it's within his power, not yours?
You know what? I think as someone who loves an addict, and in my case a recovering addict, but at the time he was an addict, that's the hardest part. That is the hardest part, because as a mother, you would give your own life to save your kid's life, right? But that's not enough, and that won't help, you know? Like, addiction is a beast, and the person who's using has to want to save themselves, and they have to get to the point where they have to do it. And as a mother, that was really hard. That was really hard to wrap my head around, because mothers think they can fix everything, you know? And I really had to get to the point where I realized that I couldn't, that only he could. So I just tried to offer my support, I tried not to be an enabler. You know, I did the things that I knew I could do, and after that, I knew everything else was in his hands.
Let's talk about the permanent consequences. You've got a drug felony on your record, teeth issues. What is it like to live in the present, trying to overcome the past?
It's a good question.
You don't ever overcome the past. You just move on. I mean, all I do is I wake up every day. I go to work. I try to. I do give my best at everything I do now. But if you give everything your best and it's not good enough, then it's not good enough. I mean, you just gotta keep. I just live life one day at a time now, because I mean, I do everything very carefully.
The teeth pain you have.
It's outrageous.
You suffer teeth pain still.
Yeah, I can't handle it. Sometimes I'll just be sitting there and just, oh man, my teeth, my mouth.
So we're gonna have to have all your teeth pulled out and false teeth put in.
Yep, I'm gonna have to get fake teeth at the age of 23.
You do have a felony on your record, and that affects you in that when you apply for jobs.
Yep.
And also housing.
Yeah, I can't rent apartments now.
Yeah, apartments, they automatically decline you if you have a felony.
And that's most apartments, and it really does just make everything a little more difficult.
So how do you overcome that? How do you not?
You just adapt.
You just do what you have to do?
Just do what you gotta do.
Courtney, what advice would you give to other parents whose children are struggling with addiction?
Who they're already struggling?
I tell them to stay strong, you know.
Yeah. I definitely would say stay strong, keep communication open with your child. I know you have to set boundaries. Like Gunnar got to a point where I literally, when he'd call, I was scared to answer because I was scared not to answer too, but I was scared that he was going to be vicious and angry, you know, but then I was also scared that I couldn't answer. If I didn't answer, then what if something happened to him and he needed me, which actually happened a few times, you know, like, you know, so you have to answer every time, but you can say, hey, you know what, I love you, but you can't treat me like this, and end the conversation. That's what I really had to start doing. Like, I always said, I love you no matter what, but you can't treat me like this. I would do that. And
Yeah.
I would say, I can't give you money today because I know you're going to use, but I still would say, but I love you, and you're strong enough to do this. You can do this. And for a long time, he didn't want to hear that, and he didn't think he was strong enough for a long time. But you honestly, I feel like you have to be supportive. You have to keep an open communication. You don't want to cut that communication off.
Here's the real thing, like, if you want your kids or loved ones to stop, you gotta be just as motivating towards them quitting as because their drug dealers are just as motivating to get them to keep getting high. So
Yeah. So you've got the parent on one side saying you can do this, you can be strong, you can be clean, and on the other side you've got people that their livelihood depends on him still buying.
They're like, come on, get high. It's not gonna change anything. It'll be fine. It'll be okay.
And you've even had things laced with harder things.
Yeah.
And so they will do really sneaky things to keep you using. And so you've got these two things. And so the parent, I honestly, even though the parent can't fix it, I think that Gunnar said it right when he said that the parent really, if you want your kid to get better, you have to try even harder just to keep, you know, just to make him know that he's loved, he's supported, and just keep that communication open. If you close communication, that all he's got left is the drug dealer whispering in his ear that, you know what, look what I've got, look what you can use.
The drug dealers are also acting like your best friends and shit too.
Yeah, and so you've got to be the voice of reason on the other side, saying, hey, don't do that, you know, we love you, let's not do that, you know, stuff, things like that. So that would be my biggest advice, is to keep communication open, set boundaries for yourself. You know, if they treat you terribly, say, I love you, but I can't have this conversation right now, and hang up the phone. You can do that, you know.
Sometimes you gotta let them hit rock bottom too, so they know just how serious and
you do have to protect your other part of your family. Like there was a long time where Gunnar could not come to our house and stay the night and stuff because I was afraid not only that he would use in the house around my daughter and my other son, but that what if the dealers and stuff found out where we lived and, you know,
True.
they robbed our house? I mean, people who, when you're in the midst of using, you're surrounded by people that, you know, are also using, and their ethics aren't quite what you might expect, you know, from yourself. So you have to protect the other people in your family too. So you just try to support them as much as possible, let them
Yeah.
know that you love them, and also set boundaries for yourself.
Alright.
Gunnar, how do you feel, or how do you deal with the idea that you could relapse? Do you feel in control of that, or do you live in fear that one day temptation will be too strong?
A little of both. I mean, I'm in control of it. But I mean, there's no telling what the future holds for me. But I am scared that one day I'm going to relapse so bad that I'll die from it, but I try my best not to.
So you don't feel like you're in control of that? You feel like,
I mean, I'm in control, but you never know.
so you're worried that someday in the future there might be a day where you lose control?
Yeah, because you just don't know. I mean, I'm trying my best to keep in control.
Mm-hmm.
But there could be one day you just lose control. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. I've had friends that were clean for over 20 years, and one day they just relapsed. But I mean, if you can be clean for 20 years, you can get right back up from a relapse and be clean another 20 years.
Okay.
Do you forgive yourself?
No.
You don't forgive yourself?
No, I did a lot of stuff. It was bad.
Why don't you forgive yourself?
I just did a lot of bad stuff. I can't forgive myself yet. I mean, I might be able to in the future, but I can't forgive myself yet.
Are you trying to forgive yourself?
No, not right now.
Why? You think you deserve to be punished?
No, it's just, yeah, I mean, I used to give people shots for them, like shoot them in the neck with some dope, or shoot them in the neck with some heroin, and shoot them.
Because they asked you to?
Yeah. But I mean, still, it's just like, they weren't used to how I did my drugs, and when I made up their shots, they looked like they about like died, because like they just couldn't handle it, and like some of them even cried, because they were like, make it stop, make it stop, make it stop. I'm like, it's already done. It's already done, you know? Like, you can't forgive yourself for that stuff.
But it's in the past now.
Yeah, it's gonna take me some time, you know?
But you think that someday you'll forgive yourself?
Yeah, maybe.
Do you want to forgive yourself?
No.
You don't want to forgive yourself?
No, because I mean, me being a guy, it was usually women that wanted me to give them a shot. And I think it's just a little harder to forgive myself because it was women, you know? And there's a few guys, like a few of my homeboys, like they'd be like, I'm not used to give myself a shot. And I'm like, have you ever done a shot? And they'd be like, yeah. And then I give them a shot and they're like, that was my first shot. And I was like, oh, fuck. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to forgive yourself for that shit, because some of those people I gave their first shot to, they're still out there on the streets just living for the shot, you know.
So people asked you to give them their first shot because they didn't know how, and you
Yeah,
feel
'cause-
guilty about doing that?
Exactly, because we'd be in the trap house and I'd do my shot, you know, just like 4 or 5 seconds, and that's all it took me, and then they'd be over there just poking themselves. So I'd help them and just, you know, they're good.
But you do realize that they went to that trap house on their own accord.
Yeah, but then no one put a gun in my head and said I had to give them their shot.
No, but no one also put a gun to their head and had them ask you to help them either.
Yeah, I know. It's gonna take me some time. Get over that, yeah.
Well, I hope that you do.
Yeah, I hope so too, but I hope those people get better also. You know, I think if those people recover, I'll be able to forgive myself.
Well, that's part of what we're doing here, is trying to help people.
Yeah.
Anybody, everybody.
Yeah, I know that.
Courtney, do you forgive your son?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I know that he didn't... My son has always had the best heart, and when he was a little boy, he became someone he wasn't because he tried something that he shouldn't have. And if that's something I could express to everybody, is that when the addiction takes over, that's not your loved one anymore. That's something else that's taking over their life. And I do forgive him for that. That wasn't him.
Alright, do you guys have any last words to say before we end the video?
I love you.
I love you too. Well, for anybody that's watching this stuff to get information or stay strong, I mean, and don't give up on the person that you're worried about or scared for. Because it's going to take some time. It's not just going to be like you got a cold and you're better next week. It's going to take some time. But there is hope. Just don't give up and pray.
Okay. Thank you both for your time.